So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Leh today morning. He was accompanied by the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, as well as the Army Chief. He is said to have interacted with personnel from the Army, the Air Force, and the ITBP. And towards the afternoon, he was on his way back from Delhi, towards Delhi. So now let's talk about the significance of this visit, because it was an unexpected visit. It was a surprise visit, and the Prime Minister obviously likes to do that. But the critics are now saying that this is some kind of a photo op, and that Leh is so far away from the Galwan Valley, and lots of criticism against this. But what is it really? I'm going to ask Tushar Gupta. Tushar, do you think it was a photo op?
Well, Karan, to address the elephant in the room first, the Prime Minister of a country cannot be expected to visit Galwan area at this point. Nor would Xi Jinping from China visit that area, nor can we expect Prime Minister Narendra Modi, given the kind of tensions there. But coming back to your question, I don't think it's correct to call it a photo op. It's not an election time. It's not something of a local or national elections that are going on. This is serious business. The tensions with China haven't been so high in the last 50 years. And the Prime Minister was merely there, interacting with the top brass of the Army, the Air Force, and the ITBP to take stock of the situation, to understand what's really going on. Because the talks have been going on at the commander level for a while now. The disengagement talks, that is, they have been going on for a while. Some rules of confrontation have also been changed recently. There's a lot of advanced defense procurement being made. We're looking for more fighter planes, more air-to-air missiles. We're looking for more surface-to-surface missiles. So there's always there's a greater degree of preparedness now with which India is moving. And in these circumstances, if the Prime Minister wants to visit the Ladakh area, interact with the top brass of the army and the soldiers, I don't see the problem in it. To call it a photo op is actually trivializing the position of the Prime Minister of the country and the tensions between India and China. I think that's why critics are wrong.
Right. And Tushar, imagine if Xi Jinping was to be there on the other side of the border. I mean, what would that signal? Given that would have been a thing that would have ruffled some feathers in India, I think Modi's visit is being trivialized unnecessarily. Let me just ask you, Tushar, now there have been some commander level talks that have been going on. We've had 3, and these meetings have gone on for 10, 11 hours. The priority has obviously been de-escalation. However, reports are also saying that there is still a stalemate, which is why the meetings are going on. What do you think are the government of India's options now? Is escalation imminent?
See, that's where some of the factions of the media might make a mistake. If one extreme is trivializing the entire visit, the other might just see it as the beginning of a war or a sort of a war cry, which is also wrong. So we don't need to really see the visit as a war cry of some sorts. It's obviously a morale booster for the soldiers to tell them that in times like these, the nation is standing with you, because the Prime Minister, he represents the entire nation at this front. So for the soldiers, it's a very symbolic morale booster that the nation is with you, whatever happens. Secondly, Karan, disengagement is very important. As you just said, the talks have been going on. And of course, there is a deadlock which is further preventing complete disengagement, because China makes a commitment and backtracks it. So it's becoming very difficult. And I think that would have been probably one of the reasons Prime Minister wanted to make a visit, take stock of how the talks are going on, how they are progressing, and where the hindrances are. Of course, Defense Minister was expected to make a visit earlier today, but it was the Prime Minister who turned up. So I think the Prime Minister wants to know from the ground, get on the ground that really what is going on. Of course, he can get all the briefings he wants, all the detailed briefings he wants in Delhi, but going to Ladakh is killing like 2 birds with 1 stone. One, it's a great morale booster for our soldiers to tell them that the nation stands with you. And second, to understand the ground reality in a far more better way. And I think we should appreciate that. Now, what are the government of India options? Of course, they won't be looking for a war. Of course, if the war is thrust upon us, we'll have no option but to go to war. But anyway, the countries on both sides, they would look to disengage, because China has enough of its tensions already with the slowing down of the economy, the coronavirus outbreak, and they have a new virus outbreak already. They have tensions going on in South China Sea. They have tensions going on with the United States. They have another tension building up in Hong Kong with the new national security law. Even for India, war is not an option. Our economy is in recession. The fiscal deficit doesn't really allow us for such a war-like situation. Of course, one can say that the war is an ideal solution to for things to work out. But I don't see war as a solution for both the countries. So eventually they both will look to disengage. But what the Prime Minister's visit has really done, it has told China and people across the globe that if it comes to war, we are ready and the nation is behind our soldiers.
Right, Tushar. Also, such contrasting responses from the chief executives of the two countries. Our Prime Minister is visiting Leh and actually speaking with the military top brass. And on the other hand, we have the Chinese who are hiding their casualty figures. It's an absolute contrast. Let me ask you this: the Congress and of course the professional critics, they have been calling India's response a weak response or a weak retaliation, and then they're holding the Prime Minister responsible for giving away territory and all kinds of ludicrous claims like that. Do you think this visit is in response to that?
Well, I don't think so, Karan. I don't think this visit is a compensation to what some think is a weak retaliation. We have, employed significant trade barriers now. We have banned 59 of their apps, one of them being TikTok, which had 120 million active users in India. So to say that this visit is a compensation of some sorts for the weak retaliation, we don't really know what the retaliation has been like, because we still don't know what was the casualty on the Chinese side. We still don't know what really happened completely on the Chinese side. That information is still being withheld. So to call it a retaliation or a compensation of that sort is completely wrong. Secondly, people who are criticizing this move are saying this is some sort of a compensation or some sort of a complement to the app banning scenario or the trade embargo scenario. That's also incorrect. What the PM is trying to trying to tell the soldiers is that the nation is behind them. That is all. Not much should be read into it. He wants to take stock of the ground reality. He's done that. Now compare this with China. You actually made a very good point. This also puts some sort of pressure on China's Xi Jinping, because the media there, they would have taken note of this visit. We'll be reading about it probably from Global Times or someone, that the Prime Minister of India visited the Ladakh sector. Where's Xi Jinping? Someone who's not even ready to acknowledge the number of dead soldiers on his side, and the visit is a far off thing. So this all will be some of a pressure on Xi Jinping also.
Tushar, also, let me ask you, now we've spoken about the reactions within India. Now let's talk about how, in terms of symbolism, this sends a message out to China, and of course as an extension of China, Pakistan.
Well, good point calling Pakistan extension of China, because that's how they've been acting recently, with all the troop build-up and, provocating India into thinking that they are looking for a two-front war. But yes, the first very important question, it does send out a message to China that if war is imminent, we are ready for it. The nation stands behind its soldiers. I cannot emphasize this enough, probably. A message is also being sent to Pakistan indirectly that come what may, they shouldn't think of any misadventures now that India is engaged with China and the Ladakh sector, which is very unusual. So I think it sends out message very clearly to the world, to Pakistan and to China, that India is ready, India stands behind its soldiers. And the visit of the Prime Minister in times like these are totally unannounced, totally unscripted. It actually makes the point even better.
Right. So now, while Tushar and I keep a close watch on the Chinese papers about what they have to say about this, join us on the next episode of Direct Line soon.
We at Swarajya are working towards creating more exclusive videos, podcasts, and analysis for our Swarajya Patreon subscribers. We've added a link in that description, and you can go ahead and support us for as little as $4.99 on a monthly basis. We look forward to your support. Keep watching, keep supporting Swarajya.